Curiosity is such a special place. I remember when I did that properly. Try to just get a good run of this first. We're actually going too fast. Well, okay, if I just get the second pipe, I'll just call it there, because I'm probably not going to turbo down that pipe, right? Let me just make sure I can actually do this again. There we go. Well, this isn't spaghetti yet. This is curiosity. I'm going to practice spaghetti. I'm going to try it one more time. Just gonna go with it. And let me do. Honestly, I might just YOLO Chiaparelli. What's the other thing I wanted to practice before we start? Oh yeah, I want to do a practice run of Vertex Boss. Because them skips though. So let's do that.
Three, two, one, go.
Well, good thing I'm practicing this one, because this has the weirdest transition I gotta do. good, actually.
Congratulations. Gold medal award.
I'm gonna do it one more time. I just want to do the intro part with Stack
3, 2,
one more time before I do the first
go.
run. I mean, I'm not like going for a world record or anything. I just want to, you know, do it well. Like, I'd really like to hit the vertex skips in the actual run. You know, not like that.
3, 2, 1, go.
Good enough. Think I'm ready. I'm ready. Get set up. Okay. Okay, so let me just think through a second before I officially start. Again, me check splits. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I want. Let me just think through. So you can hear me all right? Just want to make sure as I'm talking. So Cairo, I'm going to spend most of the time probably talking about the basics, like what we're doing, kind of how mechanics work a little bit, just to give just a basic tutorial of some of the things. I want to talk about turning with the left stick, strafing with the right stick, turbo boost is our main power up we use. I have the energy gauge that you can see fills up. That determines my boosting that I can use. I can either, once it's full, I can turbo, or I can use the smaller boosts if I want to. The things I want to try and make sure I talk about wall bounces too, because you'll be seeing that pretty early. So I'll talk about wall bounces in Cairo, and I want to try and emphasize the idea that a lot of the main things we're doing is, you know, whenever we can go straight, we're going to try and go straight as best we can. We're trying to each track we have set up. I need to talk about what a boss track is, right? That a boss track that each compound has 5 tracks. So a boss track is all 5 tracks together. There are portals that separate each one and just take you to the next track. And doesn't necessarily start at the start line. Try to make sure that I want to make sure I talk about that in Cairo. And then I want to. Alaska is going to be a great place to talk about the ship's health, because I want to, and that's a big deal. I could talk about side strafing in Alaska a little bit. So I want to get, basically I want to make sure I talk about a lot of the basics of mechanics that I'm doing in those tracks before I get to Abruzzo, because Abruzzo is where the skips really start, and I want to talk about each skip that I'm going to be doing. then so Abruzzo has, in order, the skips are. Let me see. What comes first? The Swift Passage is going to come first? No, it's going to be Mountain Road. It's going to be, it starts you on Seaside Hills, goes to Bridges, goes to Mountain Road. Yes. So it'll be Mountain Road, where you jump over the track. Then it has... Then will be Swift Passage through the trees. Then will be Unmanned. That. Hello, Blue. Just that. Okay, and then I am just going over everything in my head because I want to make sure I talk about everything first. So if I kind of have it set out. Hope you practice lap skips. Hey, this is the non-lap skips run, right? You can see on the time split blue, it says default and not lap skips. That does remind me. I do need to talk about ship choice. That we'll be using Königswerth for most tracks, but we'll be switching to De Sulha for the middle set, for Abruzzo through Mars. And we'll switch back to Königswerth for Moon, Party Rock, Sequoia, and Rotorua. So again, Abruzzo is Mountain Road, and then Swift Passage, and then Unmanned skip is the next one, and then Seaside Hills is 2 skips after that. Then we'll be going into Volcano. Volcano has Deep Dive. We can talk about how important volcanoes are a great place to talk about tide strafing again, and to be like, and they're kind of they're going to be doing tons of it, right? Also, kind of managing our boost gauge a bit to turbo at the appropriate spots. Because there's better places to turbo. We don't always just want to turbo. We have specific places we want to do it. We got to talk about Deep Dive. I'm going to just go. I'm just going to go for everything, even if I get it or not. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to go for Deep Dive skip, and then there's Hell, so Mushroom Cut. Those will be the main things I want to talk about in Volcano. Europa, that's where we could talk about pipes and tubes and their weird mechanics, like how pipes and tubes want to take you to the outer portion. And they kind of force you that direction most of the time, but you want to try and go on the inner portions of it. So you're fighting against it, and the way to do it a lot of times, you have to like force the line. You have to ride a very specific line to do it, and it's very difficult because we'll be in spinning pipe. Then let's see. We can talk about shallow waters, just cut, and how we want to land specifically so we can maintain speed down a long straightaway. We want to talk about surface sprint and how kill grids sometimes are just mere suggestions. Right, Blue? Kill grids are just suggestions. So there'll be that. Neptune side strafing in space, and how side strafing in the air is faster than on the ground. And so because we're in the air so much, that we want to do it as often as possible in Neptune. Will definitely be something that we want to talk about. So there are a few kind of more obvious skips in Neptune, like asteroids going over the track. Drifting has some interesting stuff where we want to land specifically, and it's difficult to like we're trying to aim to land on the track. track is just a suggestion as well, right? And that's really shown in Neptune, right? You know, vertex then is where we're gonna have skips like rapid fire at the start. We're gonna do a very slight cut on voxel to kind of go over a turn. But then as soon as we get through the portal, we want to get to the right so we can do the stack cut for the turn, like the stack, I guess you call it the U-turn. So where we go over the track and land on the other side of the turn. And then we're going to cut across the track. And then we have the big cut, right, where we go off the track purposefully and fly through basically landing just so we can go through the portal. I'm pretty sure, and I've tested it before. You have to land to go through the portal, I think. Oh, Blue, I'm doing everything. I'm doing absolutely every cut. So we want to land right before we go through the portal to hit. There's like a boost pad we want to hit. Then there's going to be the next big skip. The next big skip is breakpoint, where again, talking about the fact that kill grids are suggestions. And then finish up voxel. And then we get Mars. Mars, we can talk about that we're going to do a pretty big skip. Again, kill grids are suggestions. And we're going to do greenhouse cut, red spirit. Just flying over the track. Talk about managing boosts, and we can talk about how curiosity and there's an invisible kill grid at the portal. So curiosity and Shipperelli are pretty notorious because they're both primarily tube tracks, and tubes have the infamous physics. So it's probably those are two of the tracks that you can lose most of the time on Mars. Is if you don't do this properly, you're losing multiple seconds for not hitting the tubes properly. But the only big cut is spirits, and then opportunity's got kind of a cut, right? Instead of following the track all the way, you just jump off early. Opportunity does have wind up tube. We want to stay in the air as long as possible. And we're gonna basically go up top of the tube, take it as long as possible before landing. Then we're gonna vehicle switch back and do Moon. Moon has Space Park. Yay. Space Park, where again we're flying through the air a lot. We're gonna do the big skip past the bunny. Blue, I want to name Space Park skip as bunny skip because you go right past the bunny. I want to call it bunny skip. What do you think about that? So Moon, I will be doing those. Not really any other big skips on Moon, right? It's just Space Park. And Space Park emphasizes in the idea of strafing as much as possible. There's a few weird physics in there. Thank you. I mean, it's true. You go right past a bunny, so it has to be bunny skip. So yeah, things start to settle down once you get past Moon, because once you do Space Park, you just gotta hit Reactor, because Reactor has the initial jump, and then it has the be careful on asteroids exit portal. Do not invalidate the run by an illegal fly through portal cuts. Yeah, I'll like here. I was planning on more taking the asteroids last part safely, kind of like you did in your video, right? So, yeah, I'm not doing the crash cut. Party Rock, we can. it emphasizes a lot of the kind of like, again, planning our boosts properly, because we're using a ship that's not necessarily suited to most of the tracks, but it works well because we can aim its boost pattern well for Party Rock. And then we can, and it's a lot of taking smooth approaches, good wall bounces. Sequoia, we can talk about, I don't know what you're talking about then. Sequoia, we can talk about the kind of tight turning. Just glad that I don't know it, okay. A lot of tight turning. The fact we're using Königsworth again because it's good with this health hole, like this health pool, for going through Serpent, which is notoriously tight turning and is difficult for any other ship with the augmented propeller. And we're basically sacrificing the good turning from using a different power up to get more speed on every other course. That's a thought I've actually started to have. I wonder if I could do Königsworth MS instead, but I think it would probably be better to do Sulha MS if I ended up doing Sequoia like that. Königsworth's still better because of Cinta. Well, Cinta's still pretty good Sulha MS. I'll have to do more Sequoia at some point. And then Rotorua, we kind of just vibe, man. Rotorua's got Shipwreck. There's no real skips. It's a lot of just technical know-how in it. Hitting proper turns, hugging corners when we can. All that. I think we're ready. We're going to just YOLO swag 420. So. Alright, y'all. We're going to start this run. So, let's see. Timer starts when I hit start. So, if I remember right. Timer starts when I hit start. Yeah. So, alright. Hold on, let me just make sure my timer works. Nope, that's a good shout. Good catch. Splits work. Okay. And starting. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. So, all right. Welcome to Redout. We're going fast. A few things that you need to know as we go into it, right? So, if you're watching Redout for the first time, things you want to pay attention to, you can see my controller here. We're going to be using the sticks here to steer. The left stick is for turning, the right stick is for strafing. Generally, the idea is as follows. We want to try and use the left stick as little as possible and the right stick as much as possible. So that's going to be like the main tactics. You can watch it a few places where I'm just going to be using the right stick to kind of gear myself most of the time. Right, so I'm going through a lot of these places using just that right stick and moving forward. So a few things that you're probably seeing. There's a few places where I am actually hitting the wall, and a lot of the times that's intentional. Of course, I can just write it off as being, oh yeah, I'm totally just doing that on purpose. But what I'm doing is called a wall bounce. So the main idea is for me to give minimal contact with the wall, like that, to be able to maintain the most speed instead of having to do like a hard turn through an area. So that way I can do the most speed, still do the turn as best as I can, and navigate through there. The other thing that you're probably seeing as I'm going through is I am going very fast at certain points. So we have a power-up called the Turbo Boost, and Turbo Boost is, well, as you imagine, fast. So it is the best power-up in the game, and we want to use that power-up as much as humanly possible. So, but generally, a lot of the strategy revolves around us figuring out, hey, when should I turbo boost? When am I going to do that? So we're going to be plotting out our course most of the time of like, okay, here I want to turbo here so that I can turbo here, etc., etc. So what we're doing is a boss track. Now, a boss track is basically 5 tracks of a singular compound put into one. So as you've been probably seeing, I am traveling through these portals, and every time I go through a portal, I'm moving to a different track. Now, I'm not going to like the start line of that track, but I am moving through it rather quickly. So here we got a first little mini skip. We're just gonna go over the track as we can. There we go, turbo. We're gonna do that again. General idea is, if I don't have to be on the track, why be on the track? So I'm just gonna go over the track here, land over here, turbo out. So that's some of the general principles. A few things that you want to keep in mind as we're going through. Number one, if I can go straight, I'm going to go straight. Number two, I wanted to be able to time my boost for the optimal times. And number three, if I can go ahead and skip parts of the track, I want to do that. So if it's beneficial. There's a few places where it's not beneficial to do that, but we'll see that as we go. So we're moving on to our next compound, and this is a good time to talk about our ship right now. The ship that we're using is the Königsworth Odin. So there are 4 classes in the game, classes 1 through 4. We're playing on class 4, which is the fastest. And the Königsworth doesn't have great acceleration, but what it does have is a pretty good recharge speed. It's got the best grip in the game, so it's pretty dang good at turning. And it has the highest hull in the game, which plays a big role on this compound we're on now. This is the Alaska compound. And Alaska is notorious for being rather deadly in the boss track if you're using the augmented propeller passive power-up. So there are multiple passive power-ups in the game, and we're using the augmented propeller because with Königsworth, since it has good turning, I can use this pretty much all the time. So Königsworth is very good at navigating tracks like this, where there are these sharp turns, a lot of walls, and it's got that survivability to make me last. So here we got to jump, right? Again, we're cutting through, and we're going to land as far as possible. Got a turbo boost to help speed ourselves up. We're going to jump over the track, try and land on the track here. And now I could turbo, but I'm thinking ahead to, I need to use some of my small boost to get through here as we kind of navigate around some of these like sharp turns. So again, you're seeing the advantage of having this really high health pool. Oops, that was a mistake. That's okay. So the high health pool of Königsworth, I still have pretty good health. The other ship that we'll be using in this run is the Sulha, and Sulha has the lowest health pool. So if I was using Sulha, I'd be in a lot of trouble. Like the health pool of that thing would be very difficult to manage. But Königsworth has a pretty good recharge rate too, so it also gives it an advantage on this track where we can utilize that turbo pool for it, so that energy pool, to be able to turbo at a lot of the best spots that we can. So here we're gonna jump up here. Now one thing that you can probably see is that we have these like inclines like we just had. So the other mechanic that we can do with the right stick is pitch. So like what I'm doing on a lot of those upwards and downward slopes, as you'll see with my right stick, I'm going to either pitch up or pitch down, think flight controls, so I don't scrape the ground. So we're just going to fly through, finish. 2 tracks down. Ah, I forgot to split. It's all good. So you're kind of getting the picture of this run and the things that we're going to be doing. Now we're going to Abruzzo, and we're going to be switching to that Sulha that I mentioned. So Sulha is going to give us the advantage of, it has a higher top speed, it has a higher acceleration, it has a larger boost pool, and it has a slower recharge rate. But with its powers, it's going to be way better into scenarios where we have very long straightaways. So Abruzzo, we have a number of very long straightaways, so it will play an advantage here. So it is a bit of a glass cannon, does not have great grip, but we're going to make it look like it does. Because we can, you know, use the right stick more often than the left to help navigate around. So I'm going to turbo here. Now what I want to do is I want to get to the right. I got to try and take this sharply. That wasn't great. I wanted to get closer to that turn to be able to get onto this loop. So I'm saving a little bit of boost because I want to come around this corner. I want to turbo as soon as possible. And here, what you see is I'm kind of going at an angle. So this is another mechanic that we have in this game called side strafing. So when you strafe, you do gain a bit of speed. And so what we do is think of it like vectors. If you're a math person or like a physics person, that we're going to angle ourselves so that if we strafe, the vectors of me going forward and sideways add together to be a faster speed. So here's this skip. I'm going to jump over the track. I want to land down over here through the water. So, but you'll be seeing me do that a lot. So watch here. I'm going to turbo and I'm going to be side strafing. So I'm slightly angled. I'm like going at an angle, and that's going to give me a faster speed going down that straightaway. Major mechanic, if you want to go fast in this game at the highest level, you'll want to be able to do that mechanic. I'm going to save this. I want to turbo coming around this corner here. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to turbo immediately. So Sulha is not necessarily something that you would use on certain tracks in the Abruzzo compound. But again, it's one of those things. In a boss, well, this shit might work better. So here comes a big skip. I want to boost. I want to angle to the left. I want to aim through these trees here. Over the tracks, over these branches, and beautiful. So we got the tree skip there. We land over here, and we're going to do this turbo. Feeling happy, feeling good. Fly over the track, right? Because remember, we want to stay in the air as long as possible a lot of times. Boost here. And a bigger boost here. So again, I'm planning about a turbo that's coming later. So we're going to be going into another track. And you're going to see there's a bit of twisting and turning, but what I want to do is I want to use my right stick to navigate way more than my left. Right? It's twisting and turning. I'm trying to barely use my left stick, using my right stick to navigate as best I can. I'm going to turbo here. So coming up is another skip. I want to go between a tree and a kill grid. I'm going to go here, a boost. There's a kill grid right on my right side. Don't hit it. We're good. So that's a pretty dangerous one, and usually one of the more dangerous skips in this game, because you have to go between a tree and that kill plane, and you can see we get pretty close to it. Here's another skip. We're going to jump up through the air. We want to land at the top of this hill, but don't go too far. There's a kill grid right in front of you. So we land, maintain a whole bunch of speed. And we got one more skip. We're going to turbo here. There's a tree branch. We're going to go over it. And there's a kill grid. We don't want to hit it. Land. Done. So, you can see, we got a couple of these skips that we're doing. We're trying to get through and circumvent certain parts of the course whenever we can. So, moving on to Volcano. So Volcano is going to really emphasize these sections of managing my boost pool, of side strafing to try and get maximum speed, because we got a lot of these long straightaways wherever we can. So I'm going to go up. This one a few times I'm going to land as soon as possible. So when it comes to jumps, there's a general rule that if I'm going down, I want to just land as far as possible. But if I'm going up, I want to land as soon as possible. So, alright, we've saved our turbo for this section right here. We're going straight. Again, trying to do a bit of side strafing. So I don't want to save for a turbo. I want to use a little bit of a boost here, because I'm going to plan a turbo going into the next course coming up. It's a bit of a blind turn there, but I'm going to turbo right here. So we're on to the track called Deep Dive. Now Deep Dive has a pretty infamous skip. Doesn't save a ton of time, maybe half a second at most. But we're going to do it anyways, because we're brave and bold. So watch here. I'm going to be trying to side strafe as best I can all the way down. So I'm trying to strafe at least a little bit. And so here comes deep dive skip. So watch this. I'm going to come up here. I want to strafe just barely off this. Oh, I missed it. That's okay. We tried. We did our best. What I wanted to do is come off that building and land right about there. That's okay. It's tough because you can, if you don't go off right, you'll hit the building. Or if you don't go commit hard enough, you'll do what I just did, and you'll kind of just fall into the pit. So, but now we're on to Underground Tour. Underground Tour's got a few of these like tight turn areas. We're gonna just use a little bit of our boost pool to get us a bit farther. These tight turns, we gotta navigate while bouncing as best we can. And we're saving our turbo for this because we got a long straightaway. So navigating through this little tube area, this pipe, jumping, gonna boost a little bit more. Because again, we're saving our turbo for a section coming up. Looks like I used a bit too much here. That's okay. I'm gonna just save then, because I meant to turbo there. But I want to get kind of back on track with what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna just alter. I'm gonna turbo here. I know I have a long straightaway going this way. So completely okay. Wanted to turbo earlier, but I've just adjusted. So going down onto this track, I'm going to again kind of take wide so I can turbo early through that section. Again, look, I'm side strafing. There's a small little gap here I can kind of go over if I want to. Don't have to. And we're going to turbo as soon as we can again. So again, another long straight. So next we're going to be going on to the final part of Volcano, which is called Hell. Now Hell has what's called Mushroom Cut. So I'm going to kind of prepare you beforehand what I'm going to do. So Mushroom Cut, there's a small hill, and I'm going to use that hill to get into the air and go over the track. But there is a kill grid above me, and there's these mushrooms that are in the way, hence the name Mushroom Cut. I want to get in the air, but not too high, and I want to not hit those mushrooms. So I can skip a good chunk of the track through the air, right, going faster. So here it comes. We're coming up to it here. I'm going to turbo. I want to aim my ship. I'm going to tilt down. And there we go. That's Mushroom Cut. So you can see I had that kill grid right above my head. So pretty dangerous. But we made it. And then we side strafe through the air there, or side strafe here through the air. Get as much speed as possible. We're back to first track. We're going to just regular boost because the end is right there. So, Mushroom Cut's pretty fun. Pretty difficult to get. The real trick to it is I'm aiming my ship for that, like, you saw there's like an X sign, and I'm trying to aim right towards that thing to kind of put the kind of pod racer-esque engines that I have so that the sign is like between. So we're moving on to Europa, and this is a good time to talk about pipes. Pipes have really weird mechanics. They want to force you to the outside. We don't want to go to outside. That's slow. We want to go inside. So this may look easy like what I just did, but that's actually very difficult. It is trying to throw me outside, but I am forcing myself inside. So here, that's a good place. I kind of spun around, right? I wanted to go a certain direction, but the pipe swung me a different way. So that was a good example of that. So here, we're on to shallow waters. I'm going to go here. I want to boost here. I want to land as soon as possible. You don't realize it, but you're actually going up there. So I want to land as soon as possible. Yeah, a couple of these tight turns, and Sulha has really terrible turning. So I'm going to use a little boost there, or a little brake, actually. The first time I've used a brake in this whole thing. By the way, we're going to use brake here again, get a little farther, and we're going to turbo. Just to help me navigate that area, because it's difficult. We're going to use the brake here again to kind of help us navigate this turn. We're saving our boost because we're going to do a skip. So we're going to turbo. We're going to fly through the air. You want to land a bit far so we can aim through here and keep a lot of speed. So you saw I was able to keep a good bit of speed going through that section because of where I landed. in angling through it. Looked like a hill turn. So I'm trying to navigate. I want to take some of these corners pretty closely. I'm going to turbo down this way. So this track is called Trench. That's where you go down and down deep into the trench of the ocean on Europa. So we're going to take these turns tightly when I hug the kind of corners here. Wall bounce, and I'm going to turbo. So here again, we're going to fly through the air. I'm going to side strafe, land here. We're going to save because we're going to turbo here. Right about here, and we're on to the next track. So landing as far as possible. So we have another kind of semi-skip here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some of our boost gauge to get far. We got this really big jump. I want to land near that corner. I want to land like this, and I'm going to turbo. So I skipped a good second into track and set myself up well. So this is Hydro Thunder. You can see, look, side strafing. Side strafing is more speed. More speed is more better. We like speed. Speed is good. Take the speed. So we're going to fly through the air. This is a place where we want to fly as far as possible. Side strafing through the air. Again, speed. Speed is good. So another turbo. And we're going to chill a little bit here because, we just got to navigate the track. No problem. Doing a few wall bounces to kind of help us take these turns. And we want a turbo coming in here. And welcome to an infamous track. So I have to warn you, kill grids in this game sometimes are mere suggestions. And we're going to see it here on this track. So let's see if I hit this properly. I'm going to come over here. I want a turbo. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off the track to the right. Right here. Go down. And I just went through a kill grid. As I said, sometimes kill grids are suggestions. So we turbo, we're back onto spinning pipe, which is the first part. And we're just going to turbo and finish here soon. So we got our turbo, we aim, we go. And we're going to just try and empty as most boosts as we can. Finish. So, Europa in the bag. We're on the Neptune. So Neptune is one, as you might imagine, is near the planet Neptune. It's not on Neptune, it's actually around it. So we're going to change our power up to the overloaded engine turbine because that's going to be more beneficial. So the overloaded engine turbine gives us a larger boost gauge and regeneration. So that's going to be to our advantage to allow us to boost at more opportune times. Now Neptune is in space. Space has different mechanics. And the important thing about space is that when you're in space, side strafing in the air is even better than usual. So we want to, in Neptune, side strafe as much as possible, and it is crucial. So watch, I'm going to go here, side strafing all the way through the air here. Super important that we do that on Neptune. We're going to come here, we're going to turbo. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to side strafe. I'm going as far as I can, skipping as much as the track. I am side strafing through the air. In fact, I want to stay in the air. I'm not going to land yet. I'm going to turbo. Now I'll land. Because again, I want to, because side strafing is better in the air, and it's even better in space, I want to stay in the air as long as possible if I can. So, because remember, more speed is more better. So we can side strafe through the air longer. I'm going to do that. So we're using our full turbo to help us get through these turns a bit quicker. And turbo here. I'm going to go under the track. Again, guess what I'm doing? Side strafing. I want to land all the way here. So here we have these two satellites. I don't want to hit these. Oh, they're not in the way. Great. So we can just side strafe, go through this portal, and we're doing good. We're going to turbo again, and we're on to what's called drifting. So I'm going to side strafe here. I want to land over here. So we got another skip coming up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim myself onto the track, and I'm going to aim myself towards that loop there. I want to land on the track, turbo. Again, I'm going to skip. I'm going to go over this section. I'm heading towards the start-finish line. There's a kill grid above me. Don't hit it. Now another skip. I'm going to go through this part of the track over here. And I'm going to land safely here. We're going to do a safe landing because I didn't have a good angle. And we turbo. Again, trying to stay in the air as long as I can. So, welcome to Asteroids. So sometimes the track is a suggestion, as you're maybe seeing. Here's a really good example. There's track down there. I don't care. I'm going to fly through the air. I'm going to side strafe. Goodbye, track. Nice knowing you. Land here to help us turn. Turbo. So, there is a bit of a skip we could do. I'm going to do it safely because I'm not good at this. So I'm going to go here. We're going to turbo. And guess what we're doing? We're side strafing. We're only using the right stick right now. I use the left stick now to help me turn there. That's about it. We're near the end. We're going to just boost. That's Neptune. So, we're going to a track that has one part of it that is completely and utterly busted. So if you're a fan of skips, prepare yourself for Vertex. So Vertex has a track that's called Stack. And we said, sometimes a track is a suggestion. And it has never been more true than on Stack. So here's what's going to happen. After this first portal is Stack. So you'll get to see what's about to happen here. The AI sometimes is a bully. That's fine. We'll deal with it. A turbo. So there's a mini skip here. I'm going to go off the track to the left just to go over, help me go over a section. I'm going to go to this right side. I want to jump over the track, over this portal. Over here, turbo. So this is Stack. You can see it's a bit busted. I'm going to fly over to here. I'm going to fly off the track, skip over another section. We're not done with Stack. We're going to do the biggest skip here. We're going to go off the track to the right. We're going to turbo. There's a portal. I need to land in front of the portal. There it is. So that was Stack. We didn't really see much of the track, but that was in fact a track. So now, Vertex, we got a bit of a more chill time. We're going to do some wall bounces to help us angle through turns. We're turboing whenever we get it for a bit. And so, not much skipping is happening yet. We're going to have a miniature skip coming up. It's not really a necessary one, but I like it. So, we're going to go through this portal. There is a turn I don't want to turn. I'm going to go over it. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to just turbo out of it instead. So, that was a pretty bad wall bounce there. That's okay. We're going to do some little boosts because we're going to do another turbo out of this turn coming up. So going around this big turn, turbo. So we got another skip that's coming up. And this is another one that's going to be hey, kill grids are suggestions. So we're going to breakpoint here. So that's a trap, don't do it. Turbo. So we're going to go around this loop. And so here we go. I'm going to be coming up here, and in my next turbo, you're going to see I'm going to go off the track to the right, and I'm going to go through a kill grid at a specific spot. So I'm going to go here, through a kill grid, landing on the track over here. I did scrape the wall a bit. That's okay. We're going to do a good wall bounce, get a little boost. And we're going to just finish up Vertex. So yeah, Vertex is a little bit busted. And we're going to just turbo. And we're finished. That was okay run of it. A little bumpy. So now we're on to the last track that we're going to use the Sulha on, and that is Mars. So Mars has one pretty big skip, but Mars has probably the most infamous tracks in the game. Those tracks are Curiosity and Schiaparelli. Those are both tube tracks. And as we talked about when we talked about spinning pipes and tubes are infamous for their physics and mechanics. So I'm going to use a little boost to get ahead of the AI here. Go through the portal on the right side. So there's a first skip. It's called the Greenhouse Skip. So what we're going to do is we're going to go off the track here. We're going to turbo. We're going to go over a greenhouse, hence the name Greenhouse Skip. Again, I am side strafing in the air as best I can, get as much speed as I can. So we're going to come around this corner, turbo. There's a turn here. I want to try and take as best I can. But here, there's this like windy part. I'm trying my best not to use the left stick. And turbo again. Staying on top of this little pipe here. We're gonna drain here. So, next part that we're coming out to is a track called Opportunity. Opportunity has a very large pipe, but it's not a problem. So there's a bunch of boost pads in it. But if you remember, we talked about how we want to stay in the air as long as possible. So first we're going to do a cut here. We're going to cut over the edge here, over this part of the track. And we're going to go over here. So what I want to do is I'm going to use a little boost, because I want to boost in this tube here to help me stay in the air. So I just want to be in the air as long as possible, whenever I can. Nailing these boost pads. Just going on through. Wall bounce. Use a little boost to get up to speed. Got another long straightaway coming, so I'm saving for that. So turbo. And we are just heading on through, hitting all these boost pads. Pretty fun track. Would recommend. So what we're going to do is we're going to turbo kind of out of this corner here. Get a lot of speed out of it. Using our right stick to help us navigate. Miniature skip. We could go right, but we're just going to go straight over. Saving my boost because I'm going to turbo in a bit. So I'm going to go here. And I want to turbo here. So this is going to lead me on to Curiosity. So you'll see what's going on in this track. We got a couple skips. So what I want to do here is I want to go on the inside portion. I'm going to go on the right side. And I'm going to turbo in the air. I'm going to skip over the track. I want to land on the track, but don't hit a kill grid. So here comes the hard part. There's this big pipe. I want to go on the inside of the pipe. The game doesn't want me to. Let's see if I can do it. Hey, we did it. Physics. Okay, we did it. We did it. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. I wasn't screaming. You were screaming. So, mechanic, again, physics are weird with pipes. So we're going to land. We want to try and take the inside portion of this pipe. And we're going to go forward. And we're jumping over. Try and stay inside. Oh, could not quite do that. That's really difficult. This is Shipperelli. Gonna get a little boost inside of the pipe here. Going through. We're going to turbo. Tried to stay inside of that pipe. Really hard. We're going to go stay inside this pipe right here. And we're going to turbo here. Also, hello, Mr. Dev, and thank you for your support. I appreciate you and this game. So we're going to boost here and here. So we've gone through the hard parts. We didn't do too bad, actually. That was pretty good. So we're saving our boost because we got a long straightaway coming after this turn right here. So this is Mariner. So we got a miniature skip where we're just going to go over the track a bit. But otherwise, this is just going to be us kind of managing our boost pool, knowing when certain parts are, and when we want to turbo, when we want to save. So we want to turbo. Oh, that was a bit ugly. I didn't mean to hit the corner there. I mean, totally intended. We jump over. We're going to go. We're going to save again because we're going to turbo onto a long straight. So this is a part, again, remember I said about going up? We're going up. We want to land as soon as possible. We're going to go. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to land as far as possible. I'm going to go. I'm going to turbo here. And that didn't work as well as I thought it would. Oh well. That's okay. First navigating the track. We got one last turbo. And we are done with Mars. So everyone say bye to the pod racer. He's done for today. Goodbye, Mr. Pod Racer. You did a good job. I'm proud of you. We did pretty well on those tubes. A+ today, I think.
Gold medal awarded.
So we're going to be going back to our friend Koningsworth. So Koningsworth is going to be with us for the rest of this. So we're on to the moon. So the moon has a couple of skips. It's also in space. And you might remember what I said about being in space. When you have those space mechanics, flying through the air is a good thing, and strafing in the air is even better.
3,
So
1,
we are going to be heading on through. We're going to save a bit. We're going to turbo right at the start. I missed that boost pad. That's a shame. We're side strafing as best we can. Going to get a bit of a wall bounce. Saving my boost pool. I'm going to turbo. Actually, here I want to land so I can take a turn here. And now, this is called Space Park. So Space Park has a pretty big skip coming up. So I have now dubbed it a bunny skip because you go by a rock that looks like a bunny. If you don't believe me, when I do the skip, I want you to look to the right. We're going to land. And what we're going to do is go off the track here, and we boost. We're flying. We're strafing. We missed the bunny, by the way. And we're landing. So that was the bunny skip. You go right by a bunny. Now we're flying through the air. We're going to be trying to go as straight as possible. So I'm trying my best not to use the left stick. I'm trying to fly through the air. I'm trying to strafe as best I can too. So again, I'm strafing so I can go a bit faster. Remember, fast is good. We like fast here. Turbo. Going landing. So I'm going to save a bit of boost here. Isn't everything technically in space? Shush you. A turbo here. And we're flying. We're going to fly over the track here. We're going to go through this corner. We're going to turbo out of this corner here. So this is a track called Reactor. That's a reactor right there. We're going past it. Neat. So there's a bit of a miniature skip here. We're going to go to the right. Believe in the physics. And we're going to fly over the track here. We're side strafing through the air, right? Look, there's that track. I don't want to land on it. I want to land in that corner. And we're going to boost. Now we want to hit this boost pad. Take this turn. So we're going to turbo because we're not going to need it for a bit. That was pretty poor. I should have done that corner a lot better. So we're going to go through here, land. So we're going to just navigate these far turns here. And there we go. We're going to take a wall bounce over here. Do a little bit of a boost to get farther. So we got a pretty poor turn there. That's okay. So we're moving through. We're going to save our boost for after this turn here. So we want to turbo here. Going over this. Strafing through the air still. I want to land as far as possible, but there's like a kill plane ahead of me. Don't hit that kill plane. That's bad. Remember, death is slow, friends. We want to go fast. We're going to jump as far as we can again. Strafing through the air. We want to land so this can help us turn. We didn't do very well. And we're on to Trailblazer. Trailblazer is a pretty difficult track. So we got a couple of skips. So we're going to use the boost to kind of skip over this portion, help us angle for this turn. We're going to do a little bit more. We're going to fly through the air. We got moon physics, so be careful. So there's a rock in the air, right? There's like an asteroid or something. We're going to go around this asteroid and land on the track in front of a kill plane. So we land here. And now we're turboing, going straight, trying to use the right stick, pitching, don't scrape the ground as best we can. Ball bounce. Going down, we're going to turbo right here. Now we're back to the first part. So we're going to hug this corner as best we can and wall bounce. We're going to turbo. Now, this is a trap. We don't actually want to take that. That's slow. We wanted to go past it because we can go lower, and that's faster, right? More of a straight line. So we're going to use some boost because we got a turbo coming up. We're going to go wide, come in, boom, moon. So we're looking pretty good. And we're down to the last couple of boss tracks. We got 3 left. We're moving to PAR 219, or we call it Party Rock. A little bit easier to say. So for Party Rock doesn't really have many things in the way of skips. it is just mechanically intensive. Wall balances are very important. Trying to be smooth through the track is important, and managing your turbos. So the interesting thing about this track is that we're using Königsworth, and Königsworth is not really the best ship on any of the individual courses in Party Rock. It's generally outclassed by something else, but it works pretty well in the boss track because of its spruce pattern. Because of the turbos, its recharge rate. So, like right here, we're going to come around this corner, we're going to turbo. So there's a little S turn here. What I want to do is I want to kind of angle myself properly to go through it without hitting the wall. So we're going to take a hard wall bounce. We're going to take another hard wall bounce. Boost out of it a little bit. One more hard wall bounce to turbo out of. Now there's another wall bounce coming. I want to slam myself sideways like that. Pull a boost. Take this turn, pull a boost. Because we got another big straightaway coming. And we're turboing. So we got this loop. I'm going to pitch. I'm going to use my right stick. Notice I'm not even using my left stick right now. Now I'm going to use it again. So we're going to turbo. We got to turn a little bit. We're going to take that corner. Small wall bounce. So we got another S turn. We're going to try and go straight through it. And then after that bounce, we are through. So we're going to do a little bit of a boost here. Pitching, using the right stick, hugging that corner. Boost here. Wall bounce to help us turn. So again, look at these wall bounces. Like, not really a lot of skips, but again, this is a technical track. So we're going to boost to kind of go through this area. So now we're going to a track that, this is where Königsworth is pretty good for this. We're using the augmented propeller, and we're going to a track that normally you don't use the augmented propeller. But Königsworth has such good turning, it actually works out pretty well. So we're going to navigate through here. Got a turbo coming up. I'm going to try and hug this inner part, hit that boost pad. I'm going to go wide to help me take this turn, and then go through here. A little boost, because I'm planning on a turbo later. Going to go to the right, there's an S. Inside wall, it's okay, didn't mean to do that. Turbo. So here comes the tricky thing. I'm going to go wide, I want to turn in, and there we did that right. So I want to wall bounce here. I'm taking this turn very wide, because this is a wide turn. Not a great one, I could have gotten closer to the wall. So now we're on to the last portion of Party Rock Boss. So this is called Vishnu. Vishnu is also known as the Space Cannon. And if you're wondering, why is it called the Space Cannon? Well, you're about to be pleased to find out that we get shot out of a cannon. So here it comes, coming up here. And I want you to behold. Space. Cannon. We are going fast. Again, I'm trying to side strafe as best I can through the air, right? Side strafing air, good. I want to turbo. Land. This is, I want to land here because that's a very dangerous long landing if I do that. So we got these turns. I want to take them pretty closely if I can. Using a little bit of boost to navigate through. So with Königsworth, I want to take this turbo pretty early. I'm going to land over here. If I pass that checkpoint, I would die to a kill grid. So I'm going to go through here, go wide, because I want to go here. I want to turbo early again. So I'm turboing early because I'm going to have a turbo coming up on this next jump. So we're going to come left for this S, and I'm going to go right through there. Turbo through the air. I want to land in this corner. There's a kill plane in front of me. So we're going to do a little bit of boost, because I want to use some boosting coming up. So there's this turn. And then here we're going to turbo. And this brings an end to Party Rock. So as we can see, Party Rock, lots of the wall bounces and things like that, so can be difficult to navigate. So, but we went through, and we're on to Sequoia. So Sequoia is notorious for one track in particular. If you're playing through the game casually, Sequoia tracks are probably the bane of your existence. And we're going to make this look relatively easy. We're using Koningsworth again because, again, of its great turning, but mainly because it also has a great boost pattern for this area. For a lot of the tracks, Koningsworth does very, very well. And we're going to use its great grip. Ooh, that was bad. That was really bad, actually. Scraping that wall. I lost tons of speed. You saw that? But we're going to use its great grip and in pretty much full effect soon. So there's a blind bit of a hill and turn coming up. I'm going to go over this way. A little bit of a boost there. So upcoming is a very tricky portal. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to turbo, and I'm going to need to make a very sharp left. Very sharp left. This is Serpent. Serpent is the bane of your existence if you're casual. This is where you want to use a power-up called the Magnetic Stabilizers. We don't have that. We just have the Koningsworth. So we are going to make do the best we can. It's a very windy and twisty track. So we're just trying to use our good wall bounces and Koningsworth better handling and its health pool to help us through this. So one of the things that I usually have to keep in mind, even on this, is my health pool. If I don't have a good run, I could very easily get pretty low in health on Sequoia. So that was pretty ugly. So we're gonna do a little bit boost. Navigate through here and do an easy wall bounce. So you're thinking, why don't you turbo here? Because I have a turbo planned. So I have a turbo plan coming up. So what I want to do is I want to come off the track here. I want to turbo ASAP. I want to land on the track here. So I skipped those 3 platforms by doing that. Coming around here. Turbo again. We got another sharp turn coming up here. Going through here. So we're going to just kind of navigate with some small boosts. Come around here. Now we're going to big boost. Got an S turn, kind of go through. So there's another big straightaway, but I don't have turbo, so I'm going to just do a regular boost to go through here. Because what I want to do is there's this awkward S. I want to turbo out of this, because you saw how much speed I lost. Got to get that back. That was a pretty bad turn. So I'm going to go through here. So got one more kind of turn coming up, and I'm going to turbo ASAPly. So got a big long straightaway. Just pitch in, trying to do our best when we can side strafe when we can. So we're going to turbo out of this corner because I'm planning a turbo a little bit later. Normally the best turbo would be like right here. And like if you're like racing or doing a time trial. But I want a turbo here. As I go back onto that first track, another straightaway. Flying through the air, got one more sharp turn. And we're gonna turbo as soon as we can, and we're near the end. That actually wasn't too bad. I could do better, but there we go. And we're on to the very last boss track. So the last boss track is Redout. We're gonna be using Koningsworth. He's our buddy, he's our pal, he's going to get us through. And again, we're going to take advantage of Koningsworth's better turning. Now, this is a track where there is one part that is very twisty and turny that would use that Magnetic Stabilizer's power up. But again, we're using Koningsworth, so we're going to take advantage of that good turning instead. So we're going to save. We're going to use a turbo as soon as we get it here. Get past these AI. And now we're going to turbo again as soon as we get it. So we want to pitch, using the right stick to hit those boost pads. We're going to turbo here. Yeah, flying through the air. I want to land relatively far, but there's a kill grid that'll kill me. Don't want to hit that. Using a little bit of a boost. We're going to turbo coming at the end of this. Going up here. Hugging this turn as best I can. And just navigating on through. Turbo. So we want to take a good wall bounce coming up here, so I'm going to here. That was a good wall bounce. I want to do it again. Not as good, but pretty good. So we're going to turbo. Again, here, I missed that boost pad, but I want to pitch. I want to pitch down to try and maintain speed. flying through the air. We have no choice but to fly through the air here. Don't hit those branches. We're going to take a wall bounce here so we can hit that boost pad. Hit this corner. We're going to boost again. Again, we have a boost coming up that is planned. So we're going to get to a long straightaway coming up here. We got a planned boost. And what's coming up then is going to be a planned wall bounce. This is going to be a super intentional wall bounce coming up. You're going to see me force myself into the wall to better take this kind of S turn. So I'm going to force myself to the wall here, a little boost. And now I take that section much easier. That wall bounce actually slows me down just right to be able to take it. So here, we're going to just go through, trying to side strafe as best we can, pitch down. And we're on to a track called Neon Crystals. So here, there's a turn. I want to take this turn as sharply as possible. I want to get as close to the wall and turbo. So now it's a matter of just going straight, doing our pitching duties. We're going to use the right stick to kind of navigate this turns coming up. So take a look. I'm going to try my best here. And there we go. We're going to drain our boost gauge. Again, I got a planned turbo coming up. So we're going to use a little boost here to get us going again. So we got another kind of straight area that we want to use the turbo for. And that area is here. I did it too soon, I think. That's okay. We're going to do a little boost. And now we're on to Shipwreck. This is the twisty track that I mentioned before. So you're going to see that we're going to use a lot of these wall bounces to try and navigate this track. And the fact that Koningsworth has good handling and good health to take this more easily. So, wall bounce here. Boost down. Wall bounce. And again, a wall bounce. Here comes another one. Got straight for a nice turbo. I'm going to sharply go into this corner to wall bounce. I think you might be seeing the importance of wall bounces on this track for sure. So taking that turn as best I can. Throwing a wall bounce to angle myself for this little boost here. So we've got 2 more wall bounces. 1, 2, and we got a turbo. So we got this straight area. Got 1 more wall bounce. We're going to use a little boost to help get out of it. Now we're going to turbo here. Landing as best we can on that part to maintain speed. Wall bounce. So we got another turbo coming up that we're going to go through a portal into a turn because we got another part where we want a turbo on a longer straightaway. That was not great. I hit the wall on both sides there. So we're going to turn. And now you can see we can turbo very early on that part for this very long straightaway. So we're taking that kind of wide turn like we back did on Party Rock. A little boost, because I want a turbo as soon as I skip over this part. Land. Hitting over those boost pads. We're going to skip over part of the track here. And we're near the end, team. So off we go. Last little bit here. We're going to turbo. And we're done. And that's the run. So, friends, that is Redout. That is all the boss tracks. Hope you enjoyed.
Gold medal awarded.
See you later. And that's where I'll cut it. So, cut the thing. That's not a bad run. Not a bad run at all. Pretty good, I'd say. And also we got commentary out of it. I'm happy about that. When sub 50 minutes? I've already done sub 50, Blue. So remember, it's in-game. We care about in-game time for this. Right? Like, in-game time is really what it is. Let me see. What's my PB, technically? Thanks, Blue. Thanks for whoever else is watching. So I'm going to cut it here. See you later.